Hey, maybe what are your favorite features?
Hello, Arlington Heights, District 25. This is episode 2 of 25 with Tech 25. I'm Secretary Tim Higgins, joined by
Chris Fano, Director of Technology, and our special guest
featuring
today.
Brian Kay, Principal at Thomas Middle School.
Thanks for joining us today, Brian.
Pleasure to be here.
You know, we're going to talk a little bit about a continuation of our rapid fire feature on Google, and in particular Google Drive. But while we have you here, Brian, why don't you talk to us a little bit about how does Google Drive fit into your world? What are some of your favorite little nuances of the program that help you become a wonderful administrator?
You know, I don't know if there are wonderful nuances that I'm aware of. I really enjoy the features you guys are putting out, highlighting the nuances. But I feel like the shareability of all of the Google Drive applications have really helped increase sharing information with all of the staff and, on some occasions, with the students as well.
Great. So collaboration, communication, hallmarks of a great school.
The great C's.
Yeah, the great C's.
Awesome. Well, thanks for stopping in.
Yeah, it's a pleasure.
Yeah.
You guys enjoy the rest of your session.
Enjoy.
I'll be excited to watch it.
Yep, sounds
Last
good.
C is for contribution.
And you're right.
That's what we brought.
And probably you'll be able to watch next week's episode on your new computer once we sync you over.
Oh, wonderful. Thank you.
All right. Thank you, Mr. K.
Thanks for connecting. Final C. You're welcome. And just one thing I want to talk about before we get going, Tim, is I want to thank everybody for answering or participating in the survey that we put out last week about what things that you want to see, not only in programs like this, but also in some of the other professional development offerings that we're going to have. If you haven't done it yet, please look for that survey that came out from Tech 25. It's all about ideas and topics that we can feature in video, in Google Hangouts, or in tutorials for the rest of the year.
And since you're mentioning that, I'm setting sort of this goal, time frame goal for myself, starting this upcoming Friday. Every week we'll be releasing some new tutorials based on that feedback from that Google form. So if you haven't taken a look at it yet, please go back in your email and check that link out and add some topics if there are things that you would like to hear about.
All right.
That being said, we're just going to kind of roll right into it. And like Chris said, we're going to do another little bit of a rapid fire Google situation for us here. And so I'm going to switch over and share my screen. And we're going to get right into it. So here we are, right into Google Drive. And as we mentioned last week, your Drive is your place to save all of your files, create all of your documents right inside of your Google account. And so some of the things I would like to highlight right now is just sort of basic organization, really. Basically, sort of how to move things around and how to easily navigate your way through here. So one of the things, once you have all these files that have started to accumulate in here, what do you do with those? What are you able to move around? And it's pretty easy. I mean, it's set up very similar to the Mac, where it's a very drag and drop sort of way of going about this. So we can easily actually just click and drag your document up to a folder if you have some folders built. You can also, if you have sort of several layers of folders that you might not be able to see right here right off the face of Drive, if you click and drag up onto the My Drive section over in the left-hand bar, you'll see that we get it to sort of open up and show us those main folders. And then if we drag over each of those folders, it will continue to, or should continue, to open up further. I'm thinking, actually, we probably don't have any folders within folders, so that's why that's not working right now. And so I'm just going to create a new folder. Remember, you can create anything new by clicking on our red new button. We can then come over to our More Actions section, change our color, or rename it if need be. And if I come back out here to Drive and drag this into my Drive, into Training, I think that's where I made that folder. Dropped it in. And here it is. So now we get the little spin down menu showing up that will let us drop within folders within folders. So sorry about the little technical difficulties here. We are again in our demo account. the Tekraturtle account named after Bubbles, our office Tekraturtle. Now, if you're not really into the clicking and dragging, which I also typically don't actually recommend for people who really just in general, it's a little bit sloppier. If you drop something on the way to a folder that you want to go, you might not as easily be able to track it down. So what I typically suggest is if we click and highlight and come over to our More Options button, we get this little option in the drop-down menu to move to. And from here, we can actually choose where we'd like to move those things to. So I sent it into that test folder inside of our training folder. One of the nice things is, again, if you end up putting it in the wrong spot, there was a little icon that came up there for a couple of seconds. And I'm going to do it again just to show us. It gives you the option to undo it there and bring it back if you do send it to the wrong place. Another reason for kind of doing this more button process to move things, you get to undo things a little bit easier. Another thing too is if we're looking to move a lot of files, a little trick to selecting more than one. There's actually two tricks. The first one is if you click on your first file and say we want to select all six of these different files here. If you hold the Shift key on your keyboard and then click the last one, it'll select everything in between. Or if we want to just select a couple different ones, we can hold the Command key, and then you can choose multiple files that are not in sequence. It actually also works to deselect things as well. So if I click, hold the Shift key, we can select several in a row, or holding the Command key can select several files not in any particular sequence. And then one other thing just to be aware of when moving stuff around is where files might end up. And so sometimes, and this is a lot more likely that the students, might come to you and say, all of my stuff is gone. I don't have any more files left in my drive. The first place you might want to check is in the trash over here. This is where everything that gets thrown away gets stored. And unless somebody comes in and then empties the trash, this is probably where those things will reside. Now, if there are files that you do want to get rid of forever, similar process. If you want to just click, Shift click, you can select them all, and there's a button here to delete forever. Or you can click on it, and if you click this Restore button, it'll actually send it right back into your drive to the last place it was before you deleted it. So that's just a little bit of sort of simple organizing, simple file management. And I'm going to hand it on over to Chris just for the purposes of now finding out a little bit more about files that we may already have in here or files that have been shared with us. There's a couple cool tools to be able to check that out.
Absolutely. So on any one of your files that you've got in Drive, they try to keep this interface very clean, but they've built in some tools for you to be able to get information about what's been happening with them as you need it. So if I click on this file in particular, in the upper right-hand corner, you'll see this I button, which is always for more information, and they call it View Details. When I click on that, this will pop out from the right-hand side, and I'll be able to see first what activity has been going on with this particular file. So we can see all the way back from last year, when it was uploaded, when it was moved to the trash, and when it was restored. So this is very helpful when it comes to anything that you're sharing or collaborating with other people, just so that you have an idea about what's been happening to it, or be able to see where maybe somebody moved it to a different location. So it tells you the action as well as the user who is involved in that particular time. The tab to the left of that, called Details, will give you a thumbnail image of what it looks like. So again, you can do a quick preview. It will notify you of the sharing status. So in this case, it's not shared. And then it also gives you some details, again, about where it's located, the size, when it was created and modified. Now, a lot of this information you may not use on a regular basis, but it can provide some information for you when you are looking at trying to say, is this the one that someone was referencing? When did they create it? Again, just some details for your work. On the bottom, you can't really see it that much because they kind of bury it, but you can also add a description for this file that would give it a little bit more context, and again, would be available for people you're sharing with. So again, the Details tab just allows you to be able to see some of those more granular level information about those, each individual file. The last piece down here is that you can actually protect some of these files by clicking on this box that says prevent viewers from downloading. So they may be able to share it, or they may be able to see it, but they wouldn't be able to download the actual file to their computer. If you want to remove this pane right here, you could just click on the X. I have a tendency to leave that information tab open on a regular basis because I do find it helpful. But again, that's something you can easily toggle on and off. Then moving into a file, a lot of times we want to see not only when was it modified like we saw in the activity, but there's some really important changes that happen. So we're going to take a look at the document called Going to Work, Pros and Cons. Right?
Yep.
And you can see right here it's shared. And there are a couple of things that we want to take a look at that help you manage when these items are modified, especially when you're collaborating with them. So the first thing that's brand new that you'll see is there's now a tab or a button on the top that will appear if somebody has made a change since the last time that you opened it. So it's called See New Changes. And when you click on that, it opens up a window and highlights what was changed, again, just since the last time that you viewed the document. So many times we've had these documents that we're sharing, you go back into it, you know something's changed, and you don't want to look at the full revision history. That button is actually very helpful to see what has been changed. So in the upper left-hand corner, it'll say, since today at 3:34, which was the last time we looked at it, I can tell that these two items, okay, which are all very true, were modified, and if I just hover over them, I can even see the user who modified them. So Tim added those, and that's extremely helpful to see when it was done. 2 edits were made, and I can toggle between them. Again, if there were more edits on a big paper or a big project, you'd be able to just cycle through those. So those are kind of like what's happened to me lately. If you need to see kind of what's been going on over time, or especially if you need to restore it, you can link right into see full history right here. And this goes back all the way since the document was created. And you can click on each, in essence, version. Okay, and you can see how different it changed. So from September 9th all the way to today, this document has changed a lot. And let's say, for example, I needed to go back to this. You'll see that there's a link right on the bottom that says restore this vision, or restore this revision would be better. And you can click on that, and that will make it active as your document. So you can always bring back changes, see what changes were made, and restore them if needed. Now, I clicked on a button on the bottom that says show more detailed revisions. This just gives you every time a change was made in much smaller batches. Okay, so again, just keep in mind what we want to show you is whether it's just the changes that happened since you last saw it, or all the changes that happens to that document. You can see them, see who did them, and restore as needed. So that's kind of how to find out a little bit more information about the details of a file, as well as how to see what's happened to them over time. We're going to talk a little bit about add-ons, and Tim's going to kind of move back toward ways that you can improve your experience here with the rest of Drive.
Cool, thank you. I'm just going to close those tabs down, and we're just going to head back here into Drive for a second. So the last 2 weeks, or all of last episode, the first half of this episode, we've kind of just been talking about all the basic tricks, things that you might not know about Google Drive that are just within Google Drive or Docs or Slides or Sheets. And really, I mean, if you notice and if you compare those things to definitely things like Word or Excel, they definitely are a lot simpler in terms of what they offer. They're not as robust as some of those programs that do cost a fair amount of money to buy. But it's nice, keeps it simple. It gets done what you need to do. However, because there's so many people that contribute to the world of Google, so many people use it, there are folks out in the world that spend their time sort of developing tools really, to be used in partnership, I suppose, with Google Drive or the Google applications within. And so what I kind of want to point people's attention at are some things called add-ons. And add-ons are the things that actually you can put into your account that will actually make your experience in Google a little bit more robust, add a little bit to it. So if you go into a Google Doc, you can open up a blank document. You notice that in this menu, we have a little section called add-ons that you may have seen before. If I click on this, here is one add-on that I've actually added in that we'll show in just a second, just as an example of how you can really add some neat features to Google Drive this way. But down below is this option to get add-ons, and it'll open up a new window that'll bring you into what is essentially an add-on store. Similar to the App Store, it's just applications that people have developed and made them accessible to the population of people who are using Google. All sorts of things. EasyBib is a website that I remember going to as a student to put bibliographies together. It is now integrated right into Google Docs, so students don't have to go anywhere to do that. All sorts of things. And I would suggest coming into this add-on section and just adding them and trying them out, seeing what's available. In the case of right now, just to give you a little taste of what I think is kind of a cool add-on, is we're going to go into this lucid chart diagram add-on, and we're going to insert a new diagram. So I'm going to hit continue. A lot of these things are going to ask for different sets of permissions, so don't be weirded out when you are given a couple windows that ask for your permission to allow this access. It's just so that the application can integrate right into the application here. And so I'm going to get started. So it has now successfully linked this account to the drive. It's telling me we can close this window. And when we come back, we have this new sort of sidebar menu in here that's going to let us do a couple of things. And what I want to do is we want to create, and it gives us all of this. Lucid chart gives you all sorts of like brain maps and flow charts and things to be just kind of a nice visual aid to any sort of document that you're putting together. So I'm just going to throw in this mind map here. You click on it, it brings you to, it opens up a tab to bring you to this external site where you'll actually get to edit this document on Lucid Chart's actual website. It can run you through these tutorials, which I'm going to skip right now. But then you just jump right in and you start, typing some stuff in, putting together brain maps, flow charts, all sorts of things that would be useful. And then as soon as we go back, we've noticed that we have this new basic mind map. This is exactly what I was just editing, shows up. I can click on it, preview it down below, and if that is in fact the chart I want, I can insert it right into my document. It'll take a second, and then it will pop up like an image right where we had left the cursor before. So this is definitely, Lucid Chart is a kind of a cool way for students, for staff to be able to put together charts, flow charts, maps like that, to just give your presentation, your document a little bit more, a little bit of something extra. Google Sheets also has all sorts of neat add-ons as well, and so definitely worth checking out. It'll be the same place, that little add-on menu item, once you're inside of a new document or an old document that you already have. And in terms of Google and having things that you can add into your into your account here, we can actually go one step further and do something called extensions, which is part of the Chrome browser in general. And we have a latecomer. Brad Katz has joined us.
Hi, everybody.
The rare occasion where Brad Katz joins us here on 25 with Tech 25. Who's going to talk a little bit about extensions. And one cool one that we found in particular, one that, it will cost money at some point, but it's definitely worth checking out if you have a little time to go through its demo account. And he'll talk a little bit more about it.
All right. So just to expand on the add-ons for Chrome, I'm just going to go up here to the apps in the left-hand corner here, and that's going to bring me to a window with the web store. Once I open up that web store and click on extensions, you have a whole list of different extensions that you can try with Chrome. What I'm going to show you right now is a program called Synergys, S-Y-N-E-R-G-Y-S-E. And this is a training module for all of the Google apps. So I'm going to go ahead and add this to Chrome, and this pops an extension into Chrome. You'll have to make sure you're signed into Chrome to allow the extension to work. So I'm going to have Tim sign in real quick here with our Tecker Turtle. Perfect. All right.
Yeah, we're good.
Yeah, we're good there. And we're signed in. So one way to check to make sure that it's installed, you can go up to your the 3 bars up here, and if you go to more tools and go to extensions, you'll see that the training for Google Apps is installed. So when you go then to, let's say you're going to Drive, for instance. So I'll load up Drive. And what you should see up here is the icon for the training. For some reason, it is not showing up right now.
If we refresh the page, let's
see. All right. What I can tell you is that extension is very valuable. It allows you to have on-screen tutorials within your own Google Drive, Mail, if you're within Sheets, Docs, presentations. There's a number of different tutorials that it will guide you through. Unfortunately, it's not showing up right now. It could be related to their servers at this point. I'm going to show you another extension that you can add on if you'd like. Just going to go back over to our web store. And if anyone ever uses Evernote, it's a great, great tool. But you can also have something called Evernote Web, which would, oh, sorry, Evernote Web Clipper. Sorry, it's right there. Add extension. So you can actually link this to your Evernote account. So if you come across a web page, let's say you want to take this clipping right here. You could click right on here once you're logged in, and it would actually select the items on the web page that you would like, and it would load it directly into your Evernote account. Another one that I like to use is Pocket. Pocket is a great extension. It's another website that actually allows you to save different sites into almost like bookmarking, but it allows you to really just click on it and it saves it to a window where you can save all different sites. It doesn't matter if it's a web page, it could be an article, and it would save it into Pocket for later viewing. I use it a lot because there's also an iOS app as well. So if there's something I read on my phone or my iPad, I can save it to Pocket, and if I come to my web browser, I can load it right up without having to search for it again. Cool. So those are some of the extensions.
We did have a question come through.
Oh,
Brad, maybe for you. Are extensions safe, or is there anything that they need to look out for security-wise with these?
Ooh. Well, extensions, once they're installed into your Chrome browser, definitely you're allowing them to have access to some of your data. Mm-hmm. I would be careful as to which ones you install. Make sure that they are from the Chrome store, that they're not from a third-party website. You'll be assured that once you're in the Chrome store, it's going to be a secured environment, and you shouldn't worry about data issues.
Very similar to with the App Store, where in the Google store, Google has gone through, made sure everything's all good. They keep an eye on it, that it's up to their standards, and so awesome. Well, thank you, Brad.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And so really extensions is the Google the web store is just worth looking through. If there's something that you've kind of said to yourself, I want to be able to do this, like wouldn't it be cool if we could do this? These are the places where those tools show up, because there's some talented developers out there who have the same idea, and they have the ability and time to go through and put something together. So checking out the add-ons, checking out the extensions, definitely worthwhile.
I do want to add one more thing. If you find that after you've added an extension or two and you don't like them or you're not going to use them, it's good to go back. If you go up to your window menu at the top, that's another spot to get to your extensions, and it will bring up this page with all your extensions that are currently installed. It's a good idea to either disable them by unchecking the enabled area, or if you know you're never going to use it again, you can go ahead and trash it. Remember, the more extensions that you have running, the more memory on your computer it will take. So you want to make sure that you're not adding, 15, 20 extensions that aren't going to be used.
Or if you do that and you figure out the ones that you don't want and
Right.
make sure you clean them up just to make things work a little bit quicker for you.
Perfect.
Cool.
Right.
Thank you.
Thanks.
And there's actually one other place where I kind of want to talk about briefly where sort of these cool customizations do come into play. And that's actually in Gmail itself. There's a thing called Gmail Labs that is something that lives within your settings. So if you come over to the right-hand corner, click on your little gear into settings, and there's this little section called Labs. Again, another sort of little set of little extra tools and things that you can add and which are integrated straight into Gmail. One that I use is there's a little calendar one somewhere on here. And it just kind of gives you a little preview of your calendar over on the left-hand side, which is easy reference instead of having to go all the way over to Google Calendars. It's nice to be able to just check out dates and things that are going on right from there. So Labs is another thing worth checking out. Another one that actually is pretty nice, especially if you start using this chat in Google Hangouts section, is this right side chat. And if we enable that and then come down to the bottom and save changes, what'll happen is on the right-hand side of our window here, we'll see that the chat section, which used to be kind of squeezed under your labels, is now on its whole own menu over on the right-hand side, kind of nicely separating things, giving you a little bit more space to work with, keeping you a little bit more organized. So Labs are another thing worth checking out as well.
Yep, and I think we can touch on those in more detail in our next episode. We can also revisit some of these extensions in a little bit more depth as the interest is there. But like we talked about at the beginning, keep your ideas and questions coming. We want to make sure we're meeting your needs and giving you information that's helpful. Anything else that you guys have for the good of the group?
I think that's it. Thanks for joining us.
Yeah, we'd like to thank Brian Kay for leading us off. We'd like to thank Brad Katz for finishing it out. And we hope everybody has a great day. We'll see you next week on another 25 with Tech 25.
Thanks for inviting me.
See you later.
Have a good afternoon.